welcome. My name is Marco. I'm with Plus, and if you just rolled in, please take a moment, use the chat along the presentation, and feel free to say hello. Feel free to interact with your peers, and yeah, we'll get started. So before we jump into the presentation here from Benji, I wanted to just kind of give you some housekeeping rules. So how to participate, please be muted. Use the chat as much as you would like. If you have any technical questions, issues, etc., contact Tomomi. You probably already met her. She's the one that sent all the emails and inviting everyone to this. And please do share Technicon with other program managers, other learning and development professionals, people in the industry in general. This is how we grow, and this is why we exist. So really quickly, for those of you that are new, Technicon started in 2018 as an annual conference. That's why the con in the name. And in 2019, we were also an annual conference, and then pandemic hit, and so we moved to a virtual model. So we run one of these events pretty much every month, and now it's on Zoom. So, or I should say session. So that's kind of how it works now. In addition to monthly online events, we also have a Slack channel that is fairly active. So there's a link how to join it in the chat Tomomi just posted. So if you're not part of it, do join. And we always look for speakers. So if there's something that you would like to share and with your peers, hit up Tomomi and let us know, and we'll discuss that as a board and figure out what the programming is for the upcoming events. So having said that, behind the scenes, there's a group of us that meets every once in a while. It's usually once a quarter, and we figure out what kind of theme we would like to program for in near future, and kind of figure those things out, who to invite speakers, etc. I see, I think I see Jasmine here. Hi. I don't know if anybody else is here from the board, but yeah, there's a group of people that run everything, and of course Tomomi, who organizes the whole community and events. So we do have some basic guidelines. The point here is that we're trying to create a safe space. Technicon is by us, for us, so it's a self-organizing community pretty much. And for that to function, we do ask you to be mindful of your peers and to share accordingly. Before we jump into today's presentation, I also wanted to do a plug for next month. So next month, we're going to hear from Hannah from Squarespace, and it's going to be alongside mentorship. So we're starting to lean a little bit more into peer connections, such as mentorship, etc., and how your peers do that at their respective companies. So Hannah's going to share what they've been doing at Squarespace. So that's coming up in July. And with that, just wanted to also cover sort of like the broad range of topics that we discuss in Technicon, if you're new to this. So we put this under the umbrella of team enablement, employee enablement, and it's all the various activities that are required for your people to get up to speed quickly and to be able to share knowledge, be on the same page, and do their best work. So that includes onboarding, general knowledge sharing, I mentioned peer collaborative learning, mentorship, coaching, documentation, and measuring things. So that's kind of the sets of topics that we typically cover. And with that, I would like to invite Benji to join us. Benji and I crossed paths at Twitter a long time ago, and we've worked both on Technicon, so he's presented a couple of times, as well as at Slack, or help with his activities at Slack. So I'm super excited to have him share what they've been doing at Slack and some of the insights he's had. So with that, I'll pass it on to Benji. Welcome.
There we go.
There you
Excellent. Go. Hey, everybody. My name is Benji Shine. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am I'm technically a technical program manager at Salesforce, but really I run engineering, onboarding, and learning at Slack. And just those are the words for me, because bureaucracy. Let's see. And this is my first time presenting in session, and also my first time presenting with Miro. So I'm taking a bit of a risk here, but I think it's going to work. We did find out at the beginning that you're going to see some of my speaker notes. So at the very bottom of the screen, you're going to see very small text that you probably can't read. That's okay. You're not supposed to read them. And if you do read it, that's fine too. And please let me know, or just post in the channel, and Tomomi will let me know if anything is going challengingly during the talk. All right. Oh yeah, I always like to mention when I introduce myself, I'm a transgender man, which means that for the first 30 years or so of my life, I was a woman, and then a while ago decided that actually, no, I'm a man. And so I transitioned while I was working in tech. So I've seen the sexism that was inherent in tech, 30 years ago. And then I've seen how it's gotten a lot better since then, but not perfect. So put that out there. And then where's my cursor? There it is. Can you see my cursor? No, good. All right. So our goal as engineering learning enablement people, I think, is to, I want to improve the engineering organization by delivering training that is impactful, timely, correct, and efficient. That is my mission. I think, Marco, can you do a poll, or Tomomi, can you do a poll on is this your mission? Like, is everybody here a technical enablement specialist? That's kind of what you're here for. So I don't think we need to.
I would imagine pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So today I'm going to take you on the journey that I've been on for about the last year, starting with everything was great. There were problems. I was confused. I had some failures, had some insights, worked out collaboration techniques that work. And now I've got a reusable process that I want to share with you. That's the journey we're going to go through today. So I'll take you back to October 2022. Everything was great. I was running an onboarding program at Slack. I'd been doing it for 5 years. I got an IP, really pretty great. Yeah, I'm going to toot my own horn because I'm really proud of that work. And it was going great. And I also had a little tiny intermediate learning program sort of on the side, which wasn't great, but it kind of didn't matter because we were doing so much onboarding, and the onboarding was working really well. And then, oh yeah, I'm going to tell you more about this is just from last fiscal year. How satisfied are you with universal engineering onboarding? We've got a whole lot of extremely satisfied here. And this has been what these look like for most of the time that I've been at Slack. So to get it better, I can't really be pushing that number very much. Did I skip that one? Oh, there's one in there that asks why did you like it? And it's organized, it's good, it's clear. There's a lot of different engineers. The most important thing that I started in engineering onboarding that I want to encourage all of you to have, if you don't already, is a channel called New Eng Questions. This is anyone can go here and ask just about any question. And when people start saying, this is a stupid question, I should already know that. What I tell them is the only thing you should know the answer to is where is my laptop? Anything other than that, you can ask it here. And sometimes we get some pretty silly questions, but almost all the time we get great questions and great discussions. In fact, I now should have named it all Eng questions or any Eng questions, because everybody comes there to ask questions. Notice there are 800 people in the chat. There are more than that, but not many engineers at Slack. I'm not going to tell you exact numbers because that's an awful lot of the engineers at Slack. When people ask questions there, usually they get an answer within an hour. Usually they get several answers within a couple hours. And then if they're in India or Australia, by the next day, they seriously have answers. Oh, here we go. Good setup engineer. This is why they're satisfied. So how this got to be good, when I started in this role, I had been a software engineer for 20 years and had done no formal training. Oh yeah, no stupid questions channel. Yep, that would be great too. So I had no formal training, and I was handed a onboarding program that was trying its hardest and didn't really have an owner. And the instructions were breaking pretty frequently, and basically everyone was going out to their teams and getting one-on-one support to get their laptop set up and then to learn everything else. That was rough. So I did the only thing I knew how to do, which was improve the most broken thing and then run it again. And then collect feedback, repeat for, I think I've run it about 100 times now. It's now a 12-session program that extends over about 10 to 12 days, depending on the week. We've had 8 major versions of it with a whole bunch of different changes. The last one we're trying to support is hybrid work with interns. Oh my God, that's a challenge. What's really important about this process is that I'm able to collect actionable feedback from my learners. I bring them my growth mindset. I say this program isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. And it's pretty good because before you, people have given me actionable feedback. I treat my learners as collaborators, and I invite them to help me make the program better. I get so much actionable feedback. And then I let them know, oh, I'm changing this right now because you suggested it. So that was great. And then we had the downturn. Hiring slowed down quite a bit. There were a whole bunch of layoffs. And in 2023, layoffs continue. It's a lot of layoffs. Hiring slowed. And I found this quote in mailing from Novo Ed this morning, actually. Learning is too frequently left on the cutting room floor during an economic downturn. Learning leaders struggle to justify investment in their learning stack. They need to be more cost effective. And I kept my job. I still have a job, and I really enjoy my job. But suddenly became a lot harder because a fantastic onboarding program, when there's no onboarders, is not impactful, it's not timely, it may be correct, and it's not efficient. Probably the correctness was kind of rotting because the tools were changing and I wasn't finding out what was wrong with it. So I wasn't being very successful. And this brings me to the part of the year where I felt like I had failures. There was a program that I've been sort of working on in the background. The idea was product engineers at Slack don't feel very comfortable responding to urgent customer issues. And I want to point out, through this whole talk, I'm going to be talking about responding to incidents and training for responding to incidents. I want you to know that Slack has great uptime, and we do a great job of taking care of our customers. We have great incident response. The problem with our incident response is that there are a handful of incident magicians who are really, really great at doing a whole lot of stuff. And it's hard to be one of a handful of people who is really, really great at doing something. We've got tremendous growth. Oh, Jasmine, the depressing is all of the layoffs that happened last year and this year. That is depressing. But we can still be successful by fanning out the skills to more people. So my task here was to make more people successful. There was an actual program, and we said, we want to make more people comfortable. In particular, these were product engineers, because infra engineers tend to lean right into troubleshooting live problems, whereas product engineers are mostly working on product, and they don't get into troubleshooting until there's trouble. There's a whole bunch of people who needed to get skilled up. The challenges I was facing here were diverse. I needed to teach about the connections between a bunch of internal tools. Some of the external tools, some of the internal tools leverage external tools with training, but I need to be able to move between the external tools. Big challenge was that our logs vanish after a little while. You can only, there's way too much data, and it doesn't really matter what a particular metric was 30 days ago or a year ago. So that made it challenging. And then customer privacy, we're very, very careful about customer privacy. So it's hard to give people something to look at to practice on. And then incidents are rare and unpredictable. So people were only occasionally getting practice. Oh, and the product surface is huge. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you folks have been watching, but there's a lot of improvements. Huddles, Canvas, workflows, platform. We've been launching so many improvements, and it's just more and more and more. One person, even these magicians, can't keep track of it all. So I tried a bunch of things that all didn't work. I'll skip you the details, but mostly there were a lot of experts doing a lot of work to produce a lot of training materials, and very little learning was being accomplished. I was learning a lot because I was trying to build these learning materials. Other people, not so much. It just was not accessible. It wasn't discoverable. They didn't have time to work on it. Right around then, my manager said, Benji, it doesn't matter if you build great learning materials. What matters is whether people are using them and learning from them. So my priority became, let's drive engagement. Let's get people using these. And it was time to get scrappy because what I'd been doing wasn't working. Wow, I am perfectly on schedule. I think you as presenters can appreciate how great that is. Perfectly on schedule, first time giving a talk. So I was able to look at and analyze lots of reasons why I hadn't been successful doing this sort of intermediate training in the past. Identified 3 big buckets of problems: getting learners engaged, getting subject matter experts engaged, and demonstrating impact. Pretty sure those are familiar to many, many learning and designers, learning and development people. So because I'm in this scrappy world and I just want to demonstrate some engagement, some value, I started incredibly small with a super simple activity, because to drive engagement, I need an engaging training. So engaging to me means an activity. So I built a little tiny learning activity. And then I prototyped and iterated. The way I did this was super simple instructions with almost no explanations, but demonstration videos that were very, very short. And the demonstration videos were optional. I'm teaching people how to use these complicated internal tools that actually aren't all that complicated if you know what to do with them and if you have time to practice with them. So I'd literally say, let's see, here's an example. Find a recent set of errors. Here's ones that I practice with. Try to figure out, try to look at it, try to figure it out. Try doing this. Here's some hints. Oh, and if you couldn't figure it out, here's a video to watch. 4 minutes was about as long as I went. Tell them some more things to do. And then I tell them to go do some more things. So that's a pretty good activity. I think I learned from doing it. When I had other people do it, they were learning from doing it. The problem was getting people to spend time on it. They have, employees have a lot of responsibilities and diverse needs. And I need to figure out how to make my training engaging and effective, despite they need to work on products. They have all sorts of different schedules. They all learn at different paces. And did they think that what they're learning is important? So this is where I got to start leveraging my lessons from onboarding. In onboarding, I have major engagement. major engagement because the whole engineering org understands that for the first 10 days or so of a new hire's time at Slack, they'll spend most of their time doing universal engineering onboarding with me. The engineering managers now trust that at the end of those 10 days, they will get handed an employee who is completely set up with security and culture and understandings and Slack etiquette, and will be able to dive into their team and begin working. Because I have that trust with them, the engineering managers are willing to wait for my program to complete, which is delightful. So I needed to try applying some of that here. So first I tried intrinsically motivated learners. And that didn't work. No matter how motivated people were to learn something, they would do it outside of business hours. And that is not okay with me. Slack has an amazing work-life balance where we pretty much work hard and then go home. We're now on very much flex time and people work at a time that's right for them. But you can be a parent of a young child and be successful at Slack. You can be moving and be successful at Slack. It's a livable, sustainable workplace. And so it's not okay with me if the only way that people can do trainings is outside of business hours. We tried having the manager give them encouragement. Say, yes, Alice, I want you to learn this. You have permission to take your time away from your daily work to do this. And that was okay. That was helpful. But they didn't want to fall behind on what they committed to do for the whole quarter or fall behind what their teammates were doing. So then we said, great, we'll include your learning and capacity estimates for the whole quarter. Everybody's going to know that you're going to spend a week only working on learning iOS or whatever. And their team still needed them during that time. And their team would still ask them for help. Okay, good. Yes, I'm ready to recruit you. We do have open roles. So the team still wanted their attention. Finally, the thing that I worked out that would work was I get a whole team together and schedule them all at once so that they wouldn't be asking for each other's attention. They'd just all be doing this. They'd all have the same cost of learning at the same time. That also means that they can help each other learn things that are relevant to their team specifically. Then I noticed that a lot of times people drop after 30 minutes. And I also noticed that engineering managers were way more willing to dedicate 30 minutes once a week to me than 1 hour once a week. So I made 30-minute sessions, and I'm committed to making demonstrable, useful learning in 30 minutes or less, which is a challenge. Wrong window. So there were a bunch of things that I did to get successful engagement, more than what I just talked about. And you're going to have to ask me later about them because I don't have time to tell you about them. What I ended up with is everyone who's invited attends and participates unless they are out sick that day or it's not in the right time zone. For those people who are out sick or it's not in the right time zone, usually they follow up and do the training independently afterwards. Oh yeah, we get glowing reviews. So with those sort of things, I've managed to handle a lot of the problems with employee engagement. Great, employees are engaging. But I'm finding out that the material that I made isn't perfect. When they're going through it, they find errors and they reveal some questions that I just don't know how to answer because I am way not a subject matter expert. So how can I engage these subject matter experts in a way that is efficient and still gets the right answers? Oh, there's a 30-minute session. There's no 4-minute challenges. That would be horrible. There's 4-minute videos that they can watch with the solution to challenges that they were given to do at their own pace during the 30-minute session. Cool. Thank you for asking. So whenever I try and have subject matter experts build or lead trainings, they're mostly not educators, except for the few of them who actually are educators on the side. There's a lot of reasons why, and I can coach the ones who want to be coached in becoming good facilitators. I can do that, but there's still some fundamental problems that mostly, I forget whether I made slides for all of these. Jump back for a second. Oh, I think I do. Yes, here we go. So one way that I leverage subject matter experts without taking up their valuable time away from doing their product work is I have people post questions that come up that I can't answer into new eng questions, which we're also calling any eng questions. Then subject matter experts will, at their own time, while they're waiting for a CI test run to complete, they'll be reading through that channel to see where they can be helpful. They'll post a response at a time that's convenient for them. And then the learner will get a detailed, well thought out response a little bit later. It's async and it works. Another thing that we can do when, oh no, we don't do auto answer. Jasmine asks, are you using bots to auto answer questions that have been previously answered? No, we don't, because answers change pretty darn fast and our engineers love engaging with each other. Sometimes people will say, oh, we answered that one a couple of weeks ago. Here's a link to the answer. We don't do bots. The other thing we can do during live trainings with the team is if Harrison has a question, I can say, oh, well, Lucy, you've been here for 3 years. Do you know the answer to that? And then I'm both lifting up Lucy's reputation, lifting up her confidence, and also getting her an answer that I literally don't have. This is the secret here is it's easier for experts to tell me what I did wrong than to build activities themselves. And it's not because they're mean or lazy. It's just I've spent a lot of time doing instructional design and they haven't. So I build something messy. I run it with learners to find out what's wrong with it or to find out where it's unclear. And then I'll go to a particular subject matter expert and I'll say, Andrew, this isn't quite right. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. Can you review it for me? And then it's like a code review. And usually Andrew or whoever will give me detailed written feedback, which I can then fix in an asynchronous way before the next one. Or I can say, I don't want to fix that. I don't think that's valid criticism, which is fair. So in my journey, I'm kind of getting past the failures here, and now I've got some collaboration going on with subject matter experts and with learners. This is maybe February, March. So now I need to show evidence of impact. Or honestly, I don't need to show evidence of impact. I want to show evidence of impact. I want to know for myself that I am helping people learn. I want to do good work. I want to actually be moving the engineering org forward. I've already shown you my trainings mostly get great satisfaction. Partly that's because Slack people are really, really friendly and positive. We really are. And partly it's because delivering a pleasant experience during a training, you know, with charm and a little bit of laughter and some humility, and often there are like cats in the background here. People really like that. So satisfaction is great, but it's absolutely not business impact. So to find out, in this particular case, let me check my timing again here. Pretty good. Pretty good. To find out what business value is, I work directly with my stakeholders to go from the objective of this whole project, Incident Magic, to get down to what exactly does that mean. So I broke down the tasks. Paul Eldridge at Salesforce was a huge help to me with showing me a formal way to do that. They need to be able to do this big task. And so we break it down into the small tasks. And then this is the most basic version of that small task. If we can get them to do this one small thing, their confidence is going to go up and they'll be able to learn more independently. And then if the OKR here was they feel more comfortable and confident. So I literally assessed their confidence. Can you hear my cat in the background? She wishes she was in one of these little hexagons. I did very lightweight assessment to make this work. It was, I think this was a little bit before ++ had launched assessments. And I had tried using Articulate to do, what Articulate does, some SCORM assessments. And what I realized were that the sort of assessments that I could do in Articulate, at least, were good for compliance. And we have a lot of compliance trainings, and a lot of people don't like those trainings. So the thing here is my engineers, they want to learn. They want to get better at their job. I don't need to check that they are complying with the training. I need to find out, is it working for them? So in an actual exercise, I don't ask them to tell me their answers. Sometimes I tell them the right answer is X. Did you get that? If not, here are some resources to figure out what's wrong with it, or what you could have done better. And I ask them just to keep going until they get the right answer. And they do, because they inherently want to learn. So I do Reaction-based assessment. I just give them a scale of 1 to 5, ranging from, I tell them the learning objective is determine key characteristics of a particular, I'm not going to give you the details, so let's say determine key characteristics of a particular piece of cheese. And it varies from, I have no idea how to start doing this, that's a 1, to 5, I can definitely do this at a basic level. I had to put in at a basic level because people are pretty humble at Slack, and they were reluctant to say, I can definitely do this. And then at the end of the training, I asked them the same thing again. I don't know if, how skilled you are reading Reaction numbers, but what this means here is before the training, one person said, I could maybe start, but I'm unclear. 3 people said, I could maybe figure this out. By the end of the training, 4 people said, 2 people said, I think I can probably do this. And 2 people said, I can definitely do this at a basic level. That's after about 30 minutes of training. I did, there we go. There we go, you can still see my screen, yeah? I don't know what that big blue thing is. Oh, there we go. I did really lightweight tracking in a spreadsheet that I managed manually. As I was running this across the different kinds of, I had about 4 different trainings so far that I'm working with. The average skill increase on that scale of 1 to 5 was 2. And that includes a bunch of people who started at 4. This was really useful. I was having a lot of impact. I was getting there. I'm not sure that the impact challenge has been solved, but I'm pretty sure that we're making good progress there because engineering managers are agreeing to let me run multiple sessions with their team on multiple different topics. They are asking for more trainings on these topics, or they're asking for more trainings using this format. And also other teams are adopting this format when they go to make trainings. Now, once again, we get subject matter experts can't pick actionable learning objectives. And so then I need to work with them a little more. At this point, we've got some effective trainings. The name of this talk was Agile Methods in Technical Training Design. And, I could have called it design thinking. I could have called it rapid prototyping. I use a bunch of stuff from Lean Startup. They all have really in common that they're doing short iterations, admitting uncertainty, and collecting feedback and iterating, with the focus on having something that works over having clear requirements or having a lot of documentation. In this case, I think it's moderately useful to say the words agile methods because we work in a software environment where agile methods are the cool thing and people understand it. Yes, it's a buzzword, but buzzwords are good for communication. I think when you saw agile methods, you kind of knew he'll probably be showing me some prototyping. So now what I have is a reusable process where anyone can come in. Let's see, did I summarize that? Oh, we're not going to get to summarizing in a minute. What it's good for is with this method that I've been showing you, these 30-minute micro learnings, it's good for simple and obscure tasks where being able to actually do it well relies on maybe knowing some complicated stuff about the world, but knowing how to do it here requires some very specific information, like the URL for our main dashboards. You may have people coming in who understand performance tracking, understand performance optimization, but they don't know where are our performance optimization numbers. Once we give them that little bit of skill, then they can be extremely powerful. But also the tasks have to be small enough okay, I'm gonna have to get to that one later, Brian. They have to be small enough to do something useful in 30 minutes. And at least they have to at least get started on something useful. I find that even if people can't finish in 30 minutes, if they start and get some confidence with this in 30 minutes, then they want to keep going. But it's not good for big tasks, and it's not gonna work for teaching complex stuff like recursion. You don't teach recursion in 30 minutes. So there definitely are some open issues here. I don't remember what I meant by, when subject matter experts tried to build training like this, they forgot to add in activities. 30 minutes is too quick for a lot of stuff. Handling questions, yeah, there's this asynchronous flow where they have to wait and then polish. The polish still isn't there. I polished it just enough that people can learn from it. I have difficulty with my hands from too much typing, and so typing a lot to make something polished hurts. You have an ADA aide, Christina, who's here helping me, and Christina cleans up a lot of my really bad typing and a lot of other things that I do. But when we don't know that the content is right, it doesn't make sense to polish something that's incorrect. So we wait. We're doing this all in Quip docs right now, honestly. So I think all of these techniques together, I'm now improving the engineering organization again, even when we're not onboarding. I'm pretty sure it's impactful because people are telling me their skills are increasing. It's timely because they can get the trainings when they, I didn't even tell you. These trainings work as self-paced too. If someone misses it, if someone's in a different time zone, they can do it at their own pace. I know they're correct because when they're not correct, someone tells me, because we have all these built-in mechanisms for reporting problems. And then I'm pretty darn sure they're efficient because people are learning these skills in 30 minutes. And they're learning these skills in 30 minutes, and the subject matter experts are only getting pulled in to answer specific questions and review specific content. Oh, skipped a little bit. There we go. So to summarize, these, what I'm calling micro-learning activities, they're simple. They can work for you get a multi-level team together all at once. 30-minute sessions. We delegate hard questions and we let people self-assess whether they're confident or not, with the hope that they'll keep going until they become confident. This is the slide that I haven't made yet, where I summarize how prototyping works. Prototyping works by making small iterations, starting with what you know, collecting meaningful feedback, and then doing it again over and over many times. One of the objectives of Slack engineering is to be the place where we can do the best work of our lives. And I think using these methods to build trainings, we end up with trainings that will work for learners and experts who work at a different pace, who have different skills, who have different accessibility needs. We have trainings that will work for people all around the world, even if they're not awake at the same time as I am. And one thing I love about this is that this lets us leverage shy experts, people who would not feel comfortable standing up in front of a room and talking about technical things. And we get to make them experts. We even can have them sometimes record videos, record those 3-minute demonstration videos. And they get to take their time recording it. They get to work from a script if they want to. And then they are demonstrating to the learners, hey, I'm an expert at this. You may not see me in front of you teaching, but I am an expert. I know my stuff, which is really important for building and maintaining a diverse engineering organization. And then with these skills, just little old me, I can create value, even though we've got these macroeconomic headwinds that really slowed down, really prevented me from doing the main thing that I was really good at doing. And so I am doing the best work of my life. And I think we're helping other people get there too. I'm interested in talking to other folks about how they would want to try this sort of thing. You can find me on the Technocon Slack or on LinkedIn. I have a very old website at benji.io. And also we have time for a conversation. And I'm really interested in hearing from you folks what I missed. As I said, I've had very little formal training in this. Interested in hearing about what I missed, about other things that I can do to make my program better, and suggestions that you have on resources to read. You've heard all about my problems now, and I love books, I love reading, so I'd love to hear what challenges you're facing. Let's see, that is all that I have. I know there was some discussion that I didn't get to handle, so let me go back and read that.
That was pretty awesome, Benji. I just want to say I love your hero's journey of how you figured this out. And I also love that you're kind of acknowledging that many of us got into doing this without any formal training. We kind of had to figure it out by the seat of our pants. Yeah, so thank you for sharing your story and your learnings. Yeah, this is why we exist, because we want to compare notes with one another. So
excellent. I think I'll stop sharing for now. No, I have some more stuff, so I'll take a look at these questions. Marco, do you want to pick some questions for me?
Well, there were
or comments.
There were questions about measurement that is always a popular one, right? Like, how do you know what's the feedback loop? How do you know that this is working? Rajan did a talk on beyond smiley sheets recently, but this topic keeps coming back, and you sort of also had that observation that just the smiley sheets are not necessarily equivalent to impact, right? And I love how you have your North Star of we're here to enable our engineers to do their best work of their lives, and then the question is like, what's really the metric for that, and how do you go about, like, it's a hard one, I acknowledge that, but like, what might be a possible proxies for that? You kind of touched on that. So yeah, that was one thing that I observed as a question. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on.
Yeah, for the best work of their life, to me, it means that people are growing. One way that I love seeing it, we've got a program called The Next Chapter, where formerly incarcerated individuals come to Slack as apprentices for 6 months. And then so far we've had 12 and they've all converted to full-time engineers. And one thing that I love seeing is when they post in our internal release channel and they talk all about a feature that they worked on. So, to show that someone is able to come from a state where they were incarcerated to being a successful software engineer at, a top tier $1 billion company, pretty exciting. When I see people get promotions, and I see people come in and I see them as new hires being really tentative. And then I see them get promoted, and then a bunch of them that I saw get hired as interns 4 years ago. Some of them are now managers. I love seeing that.
That's pretty awesome. That's an incredible story. Yeah, that's super cool. Anybody, any other questions for Benji?
Oh, there's a design thinking for training and development. Oh, I want that.
Yeah.
Oh,
we should add that on the resources in Technicon. Great one, Maria. So there's a question from Tomomi. What suggestions do you have for Frameworks. That was a question for others.
This one's from Daniel. Daniel asked, for Slack's engineering organization, how many of these organizations have you built out, and how big of a catalog do you think it needs to be? I'm still in the prototyping phase. I'm trying to build the first 6. I've got the first 6 topics built out, and I've currently got 4 built of this format. There's another team that's built another 4 about a new testing methodology that they're rolling out. And I have selected 12 as the bare minimum to get people comfortable with the most top-level tasks in incident response. So I think I could go on forever building useful trainings like this, but I also have onboarding to do. So my hope is that I get other people also successful at building trainings like this. Slack engineers do tend to be very collaborative and excited about communicating. That's part of why they're at Slack. So a lot of them do want to help build trainings. And in the past, they've been sort of disappointed because they helped to build a great lecture, and then they give a lecture and people watch their lecture, and that's not very rewarding. But my hope is that when I can show them people responding to and actually learning from the time that they invest in building learnings, that more engineers will want to help build things. I'm hopeful.
There's a good question from Rajan that kind of dovetails into this, which is around modality. How do you figure out, which modality you lean on for various types of learnings?
We have a lot of documentation, and we don't have an information architect. And I am not an information architect, and I made the decision pretty early on. I'm not going into that particular rabbit hole. So the modality that I choose is more that I pick tasks to work on that I think will work in this way. So I pick tasks to do that are very common, useful, foundational. I find that no large tech company has an information architect for internal docs. Well, that is sad. That is sad. We do have a bunch of people who work on them, but it's just a giant pile of stuff with really diverse. What I find actually I can do that's helpful here is when I'm building these micro learnings, I can link out to particular great up-to-date documentation that I found, and I can link to the very specific part of that documentation that is useful for the specific task. I find that's way more useful than saying, oh, you want to learn about Grafana? Here's where you can learn everything about Grafana. Or you want to learn how we do logging? Here's all our documentation on logging. It's way more effective if I can give them the documentation that's relevant in the context of the task that they're trying to perform.
It's almost like an agile approach to information architecture.
Ooh, yeah, kind of is. Kind of is.
Yeah.
Agile and just in time.
Yeah. I love the idea of using Gen AI to kind of enrich, or using the pile of docs that companies have internally to enrich our models. And then be able to provide some AI answers to that, as Jasmine suggested. Any experimentation with that, or that's not, you're not leaning into?
Yeah, I like our humans, and at Slack things change so fast, and I imagine at other software companies things change really fast, and the thing that was the right answer 3 months ago may not be the right answer anymore. I would be really suspicious. In fact, I've got interns who come in and try to answer questions that way. They try to answer each other's questions by searching Slack. And sometimes we have to say, yeah, that was the solution a year ago. It's not the solution anymore.
Yeah, that's a common problem with documentation in general, right? Like, how do you expire it? How do you know if it's current or out of date? So, yeah. we've seen that in the past when we had some panels on Tech Talks. Cool.
One more ask of the group. I am still learning as a presenter, facilitator, teacher, and I would love to get private feedback on the Technocon Slack of ways that I can make my presentations better, or ways that specific things that I didn't do great during this presentation. I would love to hear about it. I really do. Growth mindset. So please tell me privately.
Cool. So what's the best way to reach you? So Technocon Slack would be the best place.
Technocon Slack is a great way.
Cool. Awesome. Well, with that, I just wanted to make sure I'm also cognizant of time, and just wanted to make sure that we thank you for the awesome, insightful presentation, and to be continued on the Slack channel. So if anybody has any questions, wants to follow up, and wants to give Benji feedback on the presentation itself, please follow up there. And I just wanted to also thank you all for joining Technocon. And if you're not part of the Slack channel, join it, because that's where you're going to find the discussion between our roundtables. So with that, Benji, thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.